Here is the newest movie out on the big screen. So let's talk about it. Okay, so here is the latest movie that stars Tom Hanks. It is now available on the bigger screen for you guys to go and check out. And look, I'm going to be honest, when I first saw the trailers for this, I thought this was an older movie. I was like, is this an old Tom Hanks movie that I'm seeing? Because there's a young version of Tom Hanks in here. But no, I had to double check. I had to make sure that it was coming out this year in 2024, and it wasn't one that I just missed early on. But no, it is a movie that came out this year. They de-age him, okay? Which we'll get to. But the idea of this movie. So, when you go into it, it is not told in linear form at all. This is a story about a particular place, not like a house or anything like that, like a particular, a house, but a particular piece of land. And this is almost like a movie that showcases you a documentary of stories about this one area from the beginning to the end. So that's really what it is. Now, this movie isn't going to be for everyone. I can tell you that now. Me personally, I thought it was okay. It wasn't a movie that grabbed me or anything like that, that made me feel very emotional attachment or anything like that. I thought it was okay. I do like the idea and concepts behind it, and there are things that I really did like about this film. Now, I will say some things I really liked is the editing style of this movie. I really enjoyed how they were using frames of different time periods and with the, at the same time, trying to move it around. So you were watching one scene happen in this thing, and then it would be a flashback scene in the top corner there, and then it would get bigger and go into the next one. So there was a lot of cool editing aspects of this film where they're trying to tell you the story of this particular historic place of what happened throughout history. Now, to me, it was effective at times, and at other times, it was kind of felt like I was watching a documentary. I was watching maybe, a short or something like that where they have pictures and they're showcasing you from the start to the end, and, showcasing you how one spot has changed in 10 years to where it is now. That's sort of the vibe I got throughout the film. So it was a mixture of like, oh, this is very interesting. And then it was like, okay, now I feel like I'm just watching, a slideshow of memories here. And that's essentially what the movie is. It's basically like memories in a way. So we have different stories going on here. We have a story about Native American couple that's happening in this particular area. We have the stuff with Benjamin Franklin, I believe it is. That's all happening in one bit. We have the main story that we're following is this one family that lived there. There's another family during the aviation era where they're creating planes and stuff like that. There's also another couple in there about a particular piece of furniture that is really, really massive now. That is one of the stories. Then there's a modern day family as well. And so you're going through this whole experience of watching this one area transform from the time of the dinosaurs to where we get to at the end. Now, the ending of the film, I will say, it does hit hard because I feel like I was more attached to that side of the story. There are other stories in that I just couldn't really attach, but the main substance story of the main family, I felt more attached to them, which is Tom Hanks's family. So when you get to that end, as it's hinted about what is happening throughout the film, when you get to that end, it does sort of like hit you because you're like, oh wow, okay, that's awesome. Like that is awesome. So I like the ending and how they ended it. Now, like I said, the family itself, I like the dynamic of the family. I feel like you could have focused a lot more on this family. You could have made a whole movie about this family because there's a lot of stuff that happens in the family and their dynamic that I think was very, very interesting that could have been told. Now, this is shot in one thing. So the whole frame is in one thing. It's all in the living room of this area. And the only time you're out of the living area is when you are showcasing when the house hasn't been built. That's the only time when you're going into the other ones. That's when you don't see that, but everything is still shot. It's as if it's shot in the one place. That's it, completely. Now, when it comes to the de-aging, I'm sorry, the de-aging is not great. Tom Hanks, de-aged, looks so stiff. Like when he's talking, I'm like, is this supposed to, because we know how good Tom Hanks is. Tom Hanks is a really, really, really good actor. We've seen it. I just don't feel like I got any emotion from his character when he was younger because of the de-aging. And none of them looked great de-aged. I'm going to be honest. I don't like this idea of the de-aging because it makes it very hard for me to believe that it's real. And it didn't look real. I could tell that it was fake. Like, you may be able to get a de-aging where it's like, oh man, that looks absolutely incredible when it's a still. But when you're starting to add in the movements, the facial expression, stuff like that, it's just so wooden and still, and it just looks off. And it throws you out of the film. And that's what happened here with those particular scenes. And look, Tom Hanks, yes, I get it. He's not that young anymore. Just cast someone as a younger version of him. Just do that. Have that, and then have Tom Hanks play the older version. Like, how many times have we seen that in a movie? It's not going to throw me off to a point where I'm like, I don't believe that's Tom Hanks younger. Like, it doesn't have to be Tom Hanks. It can be someone else that looks very similar to him. And I'm not going to bat an eye. I'm going to be like, okay, cool. Because that's what happens. Like, you can't just keep de-aging people. It just does not look good. Now, the story itself, I understand what they were trying to tell, this story of how things happen when we're not even here. Like, before I existed, where I'm standing right now, there's something happened here. So it's telling the story of this particular place and what happened over history to get it to where it is, and to see that process. And it's all about memories, loving, loss, happiness, everything. It's supposed to show you basically almost a circle of life and how it works, which I like as a concept and an idea. The execution, I just didn't feel like there was enough there for me to grab onto to enjoy the most of this film. Like I said, the family was the only one that I really was attached to. So whenever they were on screen, I was attached to that family. So I was engaged when that was on. But when the other one started coming up, I was like, okay, this is starting to get a little bit dry and old now, because it's just the same thing over and over and over again. And I just don't care about those characters. But then when we get back to this one, I'm like, cool, I want to know what's going on in their life, because there's so many layers that is happening to this family. So overall, I'm going to say here, it's an okay movie. Like I said, it's not going to be for everyone. I think this is going to have its own audience that people are going to like. If you're someone that likes history and the idea of watching something progress over time in one particular area, this is probably the movie for you. If you're someone that doesn't like that stuff, this is definitely not going to be the movie for you. So, yeah. So let me know what you guys thought. If you guys have seen here, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Smash that like button, click subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Until then, stay safe and peace out.